What is up, my AKA Padders? Happy Memorial Day weekend, extended weekend. These are all facts that it just occurred to me. Yeah, I've been busy. It's Friday, TGIF, and welcome back to the podcast. This is the Film Buff, and I'm him, Peter A. DeLuca, AKA Pad, and this is episode 559. We're 10 sweet episodes away from 569. There is no higher number. I might as well just give up at that point. We're talking Fast and Furious. So a couple episodes ago, I did like a retrospective of my views of the Fast and Furious franchise. And while I was doing that, while I was recording in my notepad here that's next to me, I wrote down Fate, which is the Fate of the Furious. See, it's Fate of the Furious. That's the title of this one, the 8th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise. And the reason why I wrote that down, because and we talk about this a lot here. Sometimes we forget movies. Sometimes we cannot visualize a movie. Sometimes we need help to know, even if we liked a movie or not, even when we've seen it. Like, imagine seeing a movie, having some years pass by, and then not remembering exactly what that movie was. And that's where I was for Fast and Furious 8. And it was really the character Cypher, Charlize Theron. I could not remember, like, how did she get introduced into the franchise? I know she was, she's a tech demigod, a tech warlock, and she can do amazing things. All the Fast and Furious characters, by the way, just do amazing things when it comes to hacking. They literally can hack anything within seconds. And again, like, more suspension of disbelief, more things that we just have to go with. But no, and it was just what was my connection with this character? Why didn't I remember anything? So I sat down. Luckily on Amazon Prime, they had them all available for like $8 each. I bought the director's cut, and then even forgot the hook of the movie. See, the hook of this movie is fantastic. Vin Diesel turns against his team during the movie. The cast, like the Fast and Furious, are referred to as the team. They really don't have a good moniker for them. But we get a little deeper into the agency, into Kurt Russell's Mr. Nobody's character. Clint Eastwood's son is in full swing. But then we get Charlize Theron. And Charlize Theron shows Vin Diesel a picture in this movie. And that picture is enough to have him turn on his own team and work for her. And the things that she wants are it's like some of the stuff that he's been buzzing around in 6 and 7. He's a little bit more of a secret agent. He's more of an agency or a CIA asset. And he has access, and there's things that he knows. And she needs him to do his Fast and Furious stuff, to steal codes and bombs and EMTs. And along the way, we get remote control cars, very similar to a couple of the city scenes in. Here we go. Here's a good reference: Pacific Rim 2, where we just have streets flooded with drone-like cannon fodder. That's what she does. They hack all these cars. They say, like crazy city scene of just cars falling out of garages and it's almost so video game, but it's perfect. It really is. That leads all the way into the giant submarine sequence, and that's where these movies they hit a level, because now the formula for we'll say like the next 5 or 6 emerges. We're bookending everything with family. We're going to give you 2 giant set pieces that really that pretty much go on for about 30 minutes. This one, it's New York, it's a submarine. The final set piece is something you cannot imagine, and you cannot imagine the level of escalation that sequence will. And look, it's full on roller coaster. It's full on fun. Your brain drifts. Your brain turns off enough to where when things happen, you're impressed, and you get worried about the characters, and you start thinking who's going to do this and who's going to do that. And so the other important part of this movie is Jason is Jason Statham. We have the other formula here. So now we're bookending the movie with the family stuff. Now we're adding two giant set pieces within the movie. And then within two movies, every villain that is introduced eventually becomes an ally. Jason Statham and his brother Charlize Theron is now an ally, and this she's an ally come Fast X, by the way, or Fast 10. John Cena, previous movie in 9, bad guy, in X, good guy, and this is the perfect way. It's almost like an old comic book formula of you introduce new characters. They introduce new characters in the way that you're not going to like them, and then when they turn good, you cheer for that character more and more. And it goes with Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, all introduced as villains in the early days of Marvel Comics. All eventually became some of Marvel's top tier heroes, even to this day. Even when they're in movies, or if they're popping into a Disney Plus show, it gets attention, it gets people talking, it builds the buzz. But this movie really blew me away, and I was so surprised that there was just globs of this movie I completely forgot that were completely out of my head. And if someone asked me what of these movies that I like the most, and kind of go through that tier list, I would not be able to rate this one, because at that time there would be nothing that I remembered. So what we're doing now, and Fast 8, which is the fourth highest of the franchise at $1.2 billion. Can you guys believe that? 2017 dollars, by the way. Is now I need to know what 9 does, because 9, we're going to talk about 9. 9 really blew me away too. I was not expecting anything from 9, and I sit down to a lot of the criticism. Every time I watch a Fast and Furious movie, every time I sit down and watch one of these new installments, I say this to myself: how are they really going to surprise me? What do I really like? Am I really going to care? And these movies, they have such a well orchestrated formula. The formula kind of fades into itself, but it's also things to expect through the viewing experience, and therein lies the absolute genius of what they do with these movies. And they always, like, even with Jason Momoa in Fast X, and this movie with Charlize Theron, the next movie with John Cena, and the previous Jason Statham, is, I mean, essentially The Rock too was introduced as a foil, as a villain to Vin Diesel, is how well these villains are. These villains are such a high caliber. They're introduced, we immediately dislike them. And in this movie, if you don't believe that Charlize Theron can kill a child, because that's the hook, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. The picture that she shows Vin Diesel in the beginning of this movie is the child that he's had. Vin Diesel has a baby mama, and now she's, as we learn, she will die, but he's married to Lydia, but he has this baby child while they're in Brazil through the Brazilian missions. And I believe for this one it was Fast 7 or 6. But yeah, so it's still kind of constructing the character connections and what the narratives are. It's all still there. And if you're ever interested in adding something, you can add something to make it interesting. And if you're if you're willing to dissect, and you're interested in exactly what that something is, these movies show you that. You feel it through the frames of the movie. They will show you something new. They will introduce something, and they will string you along, and you're on board the entire time. You're behind it. I don't know. I sat down with this movie again expecting not to like it, but Charlize Theron is such a good, captivating villain. She plays this part like right through and through. Vin Diesel, you feel how well he's torn. The Rock has a amazing sequence in here where, like, again, they're building up The Rock's character by making him like a father, and you always root for him. I don't know, like there's just so much. And I guess, like, the big highlight of this movie is Jason Statham saving the baby. Yes, Jason Statham, spoiler alert, steals Vin Diesel's baby from Charlize Theron in an airplane, and that sequence is absolute awesome. It's absolute perfection. The escape scene of The Rock and Jason Statham too is absolute awesome. One of the best prison escape scenes. I don't know, people. This movie has the best of a lot of elements. I love it. I recommend it. I'm so happy I watched it again, and I'm happy to now commit so much more of it to memory, because, again, too, this podcast helps me do that. Guys, AKAPAD here. I love you. Have a good weekend. And yes, we will be doing F9 and then Fast X. I'm not sure what's going to come in between. I kind of maybe should do a war movie for... Right, I should do a war movie for Memorial Day. We kind of used to do that back in the day. But we'll see. Rock and roll, guys. I love you.